My name's Khalil, and welcome to Someone Lives Here podcast. I'm joined by Baby.
What's going on?
Would you want to share a different name for the podcast, or you want to be known as Baby?
Baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very reasonable.
Yeah.
So, I guess the name of the podcast, Someone Lives Here podcast, that's the same name of the film.
Yeah.
About the tiny shelter project that happened, and you were in that film.
I was.
Yeah.
That was a trip. That was real cool. Yeah, I thought that was a great movie, you know? It was really weird seeing myself on the big screen and just like being like, damn, like this shit actually happened. Like, wow. I don't know. I thought it was a dream, you know? That was a huge trip for sure. But it was good.
And I guess the first screening at Hot Docs, that was the first time you saw it?
Yeah.
How did you feel after watching it?
It's pretty surreal. Definitely surreal.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it was just like, I don't know, it was a really weird time in my life, and it kind of felt like a huge blur, and just like seeing it encapsulated on film was, I don't know, like, yeah, surreal. That's the best way I could describe it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, didn't quite feel real, but, you know, it was, yeah, it's trippy. Very trippy.
And I guess the first time I met you, or this is the way I remember, is at Trinity Bellwoods.
Yeah.
I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I'm going to be, I guess I'm planning on asking you some questions about that time. And
for sure.
If you don't feel comfortable talking about it.
No, I'm open to whatever, you know?
Let's go.
I'm open book, dude.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's read this shit.
Okay. So when I met you, like, how did you wind up staying in Trinity Bellwoods?
Oh, it's kind of a funny story. It's funny you should ask.
Yeah.
So, I guess this was, fuck, how long ago was that? 3 years, 2 years?
Almost 4 years almost.
Yeah, it was a while. So I have bipolar type 1 disorder, and shortly before that time, I had my second manic episode, and it was just really difficult to like live with people and be around people. And at the time I was living with my mom and her husband, and this is also like in the middle of COVID and shit. So just not, I don't know, like all of us being cooped up in a house and having to like, you know, like stay inside, and me having my manic episode and just being pretty unhinged was not, you know, it's not an easy thing for other people, especially to live with. And, you know, I guess it just got to a point where I needed to, you know, be on my own. And there was a lot of tension between me and my parents at that time. And it's kind of a difficult thing to understand when you don't have that type of, you know, mental health issue. You know what I mean? It's just like, So I guess at that time I left and tried to get a place, but they're just like, I have shit credit, first of all. So when I tried to move into this one place, they did a credit check and were like, no. And there was this other place that, you know, at first they said yes. And then when I had like got all my stuff out, and I didn't leave on the best terms with my mom and her husband, so I couldn't go back there. So then I just kind of was stranded, and then ended up sleeping in a buddy's van for a little while. And then was like kind of going between a couple places, but it's not a great feeling to just feel like a burden all the time, and, you know, like overstepping boundaries and stuff with friends, and, you know, it's not a great feeling. So I figured it'd be better for me to just tough it out on my own, and I got a tent and went to Trinity Bellwoods, and that's kind of where it all started. Yeah.
What drew you to going to Trinity Bellwoods over somewhere else?
I don't know. I think it was just the place that I was most familiar with. Like, I'd hung out there a lot. over the years, hanging out with friends and stuff. And it was pretty central. And, there was, I don't know, like, I just feel like some of the other encampments were a little more isolated. And I felt like it was better being in a bit more of an open space, and there was more public support there and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like even just neighbors like coming around and giving us macaroni and cheese and shit, like, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was actually really cool around that time. There was, a lot of the neighbors, would come through and show support, and, like I hadn't seen anything like that before. Just, people coming through, especially like on Christmas, like, holy crap, like, the amount of turkey dinners we had. Like, I had turkey dinner for like a month.
Nice.
Yeah. Just had a bunch of turkey dinners in a snowbank, ready to go. Meal prep.
You just
bam.
Like put it in the snow.
Living life on easy mode,
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
How long did you stay in the encampment there?
I was there for like four or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think I'd only been there for like a month when I ended up getting one of the tiny shelters.
Yeah.
Which was super clutch.
Nice.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. The tent sucked. The tent was absolute balls. It's so cold. I'd like wake up shivering cold in the middle of the night and have to like go walk around to warm up and shit. And there were other people, that got like frostbite and stuff. And that was my biggest fear. I didn't want to get frostbite. That's not about that. Yeah.
So could you walk through like a day, like from morning, like through the day until like night, until you're like going to sleep, like what it was like staying in the encampment?
Okay. Well, I usually woke up really early around that time. So I'd get up at like 6 a.m. and I'd kind of just like cruise around, walk around. Especially when I had a tent, I was just trying to stay warm and stuff. So first thing I do is wake up and just start walking, pretty much all day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just needed to kind of like, that was pretty much just the place that I went to go sleep, and, like I, cook food there and stuff like that. Like I actually had like a little, it was definitely not legal, but I had like a little like grill thing that I, in the middle of the night, get that thing cooking, make some beans and shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. But yeah, and then I guess like after I was there for a little bit, I made friends with some of the other folks living in the encampment, and after a while, it was like, I don't know, like I actually had a got to a point where I felt like pretty well connected. Like there was so many people that would just kind of come through and say hey, and like a lot of the people that I even know today I met through being there.
Okay.
And there was ESN that would come through, and I'd help out with the outreach stuff and get to know some of them.
Yeah.
And I guess like after a while, like it felt pretty comfortable, like especially once I had the tiny home and stuff like that, I could actually like hang out there for extended periods of time and not have to like get up and walk around to stay warm and stuff. Like I could just straight chill.
Yeah.
Which is real cool. Also my brother lived really close to the Trinity bellwoods, so like I'd go there in the morning if I had to use the bathroom or take a shower or something. There's a community center by there, but they didn't open till like 9 or 10, and I'd wake up at 6 and be like, oh fuck, I gotta take a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I got to a point where it was like, I felt pretty comfortable, like my day-to-day life was like, like pretty normalized at that point, like
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you think was like the most important part of making it feel that way for you when you're staying outside?
Honestly, like probably just like having friends and people that I trust that are, getting to know people that were also in the encampment, and, Yeah, just the people, really, you know? Like, I felt at first really sketchy. Like, I was kind of like, didn't trust anybody and wasn't sure if someone's gonna like try to jack my shit in the middle of the night or, you know, something like that. But once I got to know some people and, you know, had some supports there, like, you know, I felt pretty at home there, you know? And it was a vibe, you know? Like, there's a bunch of us that, you know, we just kind of hang out and people would come through and bring a couple beers and we just like sit around and hang out, you know? And that's not something I've ever really seen before because, you know, I feel like a lot of, you know, homeless people have been kind of um, swept under the rug, I guess, you know? And, you know,
Yeah.
like people kind of just walk by and don't really say anything. And, you know, it was the first time that I've actually seen just, you know, people hanging out and
In like a community.
in like, yeah, a communal sort of environment. And
Yeah.
that was definitely my favorite part about, um, that was definitely a saving grace in that experience for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess I don't know. I don't have the details about how like what happened for you during the encampment evictions in like July and stuff.
Right.
So what happened around that time? Like were you staying up until the encampment evictions then?
No, actually. So shortly before that time, I managed to find like a relatively affordable month to month situation.
Okay.
So I was there for like, um, yeah, it was probably like maybe a month or two before the summer evictions.
Yeah.
But at that time I was doing ESN stuff, like doing outreach and, um, was involved in that whole sort of, defense, attempt, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and I was kind of on the outside. Like I was on, like a side street and I would be like directing people where to go to try to get into like a break in the fence or something like that. And it was really heavy atmosphere. I remember like when I walked into the park afterwards, like it was kind of freaky, you know, like it was a very heavy feeling just seeing how the cops were, just being really, I don't know. Like it was it was a weird thing. It was like I've never seen that many cops before in my life. Like it was kind of scary to see, you know, and just to know like, yeah, we can't do anything. There was nothing that anybody could have done. They had, you know, very clear agenda and they were going to do what they were going to do. And a lot of the people that showed up, I don't know, like there was, kind of a mixed group. There were a lot of people that showed up and were just like, "Yo, fuck you, fuck the cops, and they have all this stuff," and that's, you know, great sentiment. But it was also just kind of pissing them off.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I kind of realized like, yeah, there's, you know, not more we can really do besides, I guess, just like to document and, just, yeah, you know. But there was nothing we could have done to stop them. Like there was just too many of them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really messed up day. That was a messed up day. Yeah, there's a lot of people that, you know, I know are still in that situation too and haven't got any, you know, like housing or anything, even though they made all these empty promises and, you know, yeah, it's pretty messed up.
And I guess what's your living situation right now?
So I got into a subsidized apartment probably, I guess this would have been, what the hell is time? I'm trying to think of the timeline here. Like, yeah. I guess, what year was the evictions? Was that
2021?
2021.
Mm-hmm.
So in December 2021, I moved into the spot that I'm at now. And it's like a subsidized, geared to income sort of, housing situation. And it's really nice, you know, like it's pretty, I don't know, I couldn't really ask for anything better, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I feel like I just found a cheat code, you know what I mean, to the system. Like, I feel like I got really lucky. Like I got a 1-bedroom apartment, live by myself, just me and my kitty. And, it's been very monumental in my personal development and just building a life again after all that stuff, you know. It's kind of a hard thing to, I don't know, like there's a lot of traumatic stuff that happened in a relatively short period of time. And it's taken a while to process that stuff, and also to even just kind of like build my life again, and maybe not even again, but even just for the first time, you know. So it's definitely been, you know, like I don't know how possible it would have been if it wasn't for the fact that I have, you know, like security in where I live, and I'm not scared to be getting kicked out anytime soon for any reason. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's helped me realize, like, man, this is just like, this should be a thing for everybody. You know, like, I feel like a lot of the issues that I've had in my life were just, you know, largely because of not having a consistent place to be, and even to like build a sense of, you know, like a foundation, you know, when you're always in survival mode and just bouncing around from place to place, like it's kind of hard to have consistency and, you know, like build anything in your life, you know. It's just always like being in survival mode and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you told me before we started the interview that you're in a band now.
I am in a band now. That's true. Yeah. We're called Ash Pilot. Check us out. We're releasing some stuff in October, so stay tuned.
Nice.
Yeah, very exciting stuff.
Cool.
And the place I'm at now has also been a very big part of that, because I have like a space to make music and create, and that was always a huge thing for me, you know, because I couldn't find many places where I could just do what I want to do and be myself and stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, like it was, yeah, you know, just always having to like kind of walk on eggshells around, you know, like try not to disturb people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And having to like compromise and stuff like that, which is, you know, like it's fine, you know, like you can make whatever work, but I definitely feel like where I'm at now has been a huge blessing for sure.
Like you're in a place of more freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And like the people in my building, like, you know, are really like supportive. Like I'm friends with a lot of the people that live in my building. Mm-hmm. There's also a good friend of mine that lives in my building that I met at Trinity Bellwoods. He's like one of my best friends. And you know, like it's a nice sort of like I feel like a lot of the community that, you know, I've sort of a lot of the, you know, the community that was built through my experience living at Trinity Bellwoods has been a huge part of my social circle now. And yeah, like most of the people in my life right now, like I met through that messed up experience. So it was kind of serendipitous in its own sort of weird way. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the people that volunteered or even just, you know, kind of came through were just kind of non-judgmental and, you know, like empathetic people, you know? So yeah. Like that's good shit, you know?
I'm wondering, did you ever stay in a shelter while you were unhoused?
No, I was very, very, like dead set against that. I was like, no, like I'd rather sleep outside than go to a shelter.
And I guess that's because you've heard how it is in shelters, or
partially, but largely just because like I was manic, bro. Like I was like full Kanye, you know, like, oh no, is that me? Oh geez, that's me. You. That's the worst. I need to turn the front on solid. Oh my god,
you're fired.
I tried so hard.
Oh god.
My bad.
No, it's fine.
What was the question? Lost my train of thought. We were talking about
shit, I totally forget too.
We can just rewind it, right?
No, don't do that. The last question I asked, God damn it.
Oh,
I totally don't remember. That's terrible.
I know, fucking phone.
That shows you the effect of mobile devices on your attention span. Don't do it, kids.
It's not good.
Stay away. It's a gateway drug. It's
Don't be drones. Don't have phones.
But I asked you if you ever stayed in a shelter.
Right, that's it.
I'll ask it in a nicer way just now.
Cool. But yeah, no, I was very dead set against staying in a shelter. And
the second question was, why were you dead set against staying in a shelter?
Right.
Yeah.
Number of reasons, partially just because I've heard some stories from other people that I wasn't down for, but also because of my own mental state at that time, I don't think I would have been able to be around people in that sort of strict environment. You know, like I was wilding out all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess like I felt kind of feral, you know what I mean, so to speak. So, you know, I don't think I would have made it very, very long in the shelter, you know. You know, I didn't think I was gonna get like, you know, I was gonna kick me off the sidewalk or, you know, you know what I mean? Like, and you know, I felt better doing it on my own terms, even if it was worse in some ways. It was just better to know that like I wasn't having to like, I don't know, like between either staying with friends or staying at a shelter, it's like there's a lot of other people you have to be mindful of. And I just wanted to do my own thing, I guess. And also I didn't want my situation to burden other people. And I guess when it came to the shelters, I didn't want to be around people where there'd be potential conflicts for whatever reason. And, you know, I wasn't in a state to be able to like be around people in that close-knit environment, sharing rooms with people and all that sort of stuff. And, you know.
And then it's not like everyone else is like in a very stable place as well. It's like they're reacting as well.
Exactly. I felt very confrontational at that time. So I don't think it would have been a good scene for me. And I'm glad that I didn't go. Like, doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess for you, so I guess you were feeling manic when you were staying outside. How did you make the transition to moving into housing from that?
Well, so the mania sort of ended towards the end of my stay at the park. And it kind of like came down crashing really hard. Like it's not chill at all.
Yeah.
After my brain was put through all that sort of stuff, you know, I felt like I was kind of rendered useless after a while. Like I just felt like, I mean, I was lucky that I managed to find a place for that period of time, and I was on ODSP and stuff. So, when I was at this kind of month-to-month place, like I could just I just stayed in bed all the time, you know, like after, like I got really depressed after post-mania, post-homelessness. Like it was the worst. And it's kind of taken, like the past couple years has been the process of reestablishing myself in my own life. And I wouldn't recommend it. You know, if you can avoid it, I'd definitely steer clear if you can.
Yeah.
I wasn't so lucky, but I guess at this point, I'm really thankful that, you know, I managed to get out of that situation, and also that my mental health situation has improved a lot. Like I feel very stable, very like capable, you know, like it's pretty dope. I would recommend that. Stability is fucking awesome. It's so great, you know.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, being dependable.
Fuck yeah. It's like an advertisement. Stability.
Yeah. Tried and true.
So that's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
That's like,
it's been real cool.
yeah.
It's been real cool. And I don't know how possible it would have been if it wasn't for like having that sort of environment to kind of like establish as a foundation, you know? Yeah, before I just felt so shaky and just not like couldn't hold anything down, you know? Like
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is something that you can answer, but
do my best.
Cool. So I guess I've been by the encampment at Allen Gardens recently,
Okay.
and yeah, made a few attempts to talk to people.
Okay.
And that was a hard no.
Hard no.
And there was a few people that were interested in having a conversation, and I'll probably go back and see
right
how that goes. But like many people, it was like, very not interested in talking and not comfortable with that. And yeah, I don't know if you know anyone that's staying at that encampment or if you've been by there. Like
I haven't actually. I guess it's over the past year and a bit, I kind of just been very heavily doing my own sort of thing. And like I was doing outreach for a while after like during and after living at the encampment, but I don't know, I was just kind of not in a position mentally to be like,
I'll help you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's even for the, like most well put together people, it can be draining and it's a lot of emotional work, you know what I mean? Like it can be heart-wrenching at times. And after the second clearing, like at Lamport, which was even more messed up somehow because like there was like some crazy police violence and stuff. And after that, I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. It's just messing me up even more. And I was already not okay to begin with. So after that, I pretty much just kind of like, I kept in touch with like the friends and people that I know, but I wasn't like trying to actively like, do outreach and go out and all that stuff. I do know a lot of people that, are still on the streets or people that have been on the streets, like, definitely know some people if you well, I mean, I can be your agent for,
I mean, if you know anyone that wants to talk about
I do for sure. I especially know some people that have more experience in the shelter. And that's definitely its own box of frogs, so to speak. I definitely felt I'm glad that I steered clear from that whole scene because some messed up stuff happens in shelters. I mean, don't get me wrong, messed up stuff happens at the encampments too, but it's like, I don't know, like you have more freedom and autonomy. I feel like a lot of the people that have stayed in shelters, like you're kind of like, like there's not a huge, you can't really like, it's so easy to get kicked out of a shelter. Like it's so easy to get kicked out of a shelter. So yeah.
And this is I don't know if you've thought about this too much. I'm just very curious about your opinion of what, and this is a strange question.
I love it. Lay it on me.
And I feel like most people would not be able to answer this whatsoever. So do not feel whatever way. But what do you think the city of Toronto should be doing to help people that are staying outside?
That's a great question. I mean, in theory, like I honestly think there should be more, public spaces, like more, designated areas where people can just like sleep and be, you know what I mean? Like there's so many like anti-homeless, you know, um, like installments in the city, like, like benches with like, like a
Oh
huge bar in the
yeah,
middle or like spikes on this, like,
architecture
yeah,
designed.
like, you know what I mean?
It's like I think of it like the spikes for pigeons.
It's exactly the
On
same.
yeah,
It's the same. Yeah. And, get rid of that shit. That's definitely step one. Cause like, the amount of times like, I've just been like walking around and just like wanted to like lay down somewhere. It's just like,
can't.
sucks. It sucks. Especially like under, some sort of rain cover or something,
Yeah.
like it's not that difficult, in theory, like to just not have those architecture installments. That's the big fuck you to everyone that's in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like at the bare minimum, just having like designated space or area where, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's not like you need like a giant hotel or anything, just like somewhere where someone can get some cover from the rain and, like get some sleep for a couple hours,
Mm-hmm.
like at the bare minimum. And, besides that, like, you know, um, I mean, if there were more um, services available and also just, like the situation where I think the building that I live in is like not government owned, like it's like a charity that owns it or something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah.
But like, I feel like that same sort of thing could be possible. I think there should definitely be more options for, permanent housing. And, there's so much space. There's so much unused space in this city. And that's the thing that's so messed up is that like there's so many rich people buying condos and all this sort of stuff. And they're putting up all this expensive ass property. And no one's, there's so many, like no one's buying it. You know what I mean? Like there's just empty buildings, office
Mm-hmm.
space. You know what I mean?
There's so much office space.
Yeah,
Actually.
especially like post COVID, there's so many people that are just working from home now,
Yeah.
and they have all this empty space, and they're just like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
I was actually looking into that like the other day. It's just like how much, and I was trying to figure out. All right, like how many vacant homes are there in Toronto that aren't being rented out?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 2,100, and there's a vacancy tax on all the homes that aren't being rented out, and it's like 2,100 in a place that houses like millions of people. It's like that's not a lot. But when you look at the office space that's not being used, it's apparently like it's estimated to be 12 to 13 million square feet of office space that has not been used since the beginning of COVID.
Yeah,
And it's like, I guess it's cheaper when everyone works from home.
yeah, right?
And it's like, oh, I guess that's a thing. And I don't know. I've been really fascinated by like, why is shit so expensive? Like, why is it so hard to find somewhere where you can like stay and exist and afford
Right.
in Toronto? And it's like, and that's been a maze and like an overwhelming question
For sure.
And, yeah.
Another thing is, I think this is something that you touched on either in the movie or maybe in one of the after, question type things.
Mm-hmm.
But if there were people that working in the city that were collaborating with just individuals that take on, like for, you took on this project and just did this thing on your own, and, it seems like the city was fighting you at every turn.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and it's like if y'all work together, there's so much that could be done.
It's a lot less wasted resources.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
I feel like to ask like what the city could do, it's just like, they're not, it's kind of it's not because, I don't feel like the city's coming from a perspective of like, oh, what can we do? How can we help? I think the point is that they don't give a shit, and I think that like on a fundamental level, like there needs to be a change in the mentality of how to approach these issues and to work together. And, you know, it's definitely been a lot harder given that they're fighting us at every turn, you know? So, you know, I feel like, yeah, it sucks. But there's things that can be done. That's the thing. It's like, there's things that, you know, could be done if there was a different approach on a fundamental level. But I feel like that sort of mentality is just not there right now.
Yeah.
So I think right now a lot of it's up to the individual and communities of people that want to help in whatever way, and it's not going to be perfect, but it's what we got. And hopefully, you know, there's enough of a statement that, I don't know, I don't know how politics works, I guess, but like,
same.
But the thing is, like, I don't know, like, I feel like it shouldn't be that difficult, though. You know what I mean? Like, cause like the resources are there, the people are there, you know. If we had cooperation and we were all working together, it's more than possible. You know, I just, you know, it's kind of like, I talk to people that are really into politics and stuff, and it's like, so why don't we just do this? Like, oh, reasons. But I'm like, but why though? You know, like, I don't know. I guess I kind of just see it's like, you know, like, if you take the initiative, like, I mean, what you did, like, changed, like that was a huge thing to take on. And there's so many people like myself that were helped in such a meaningful way through just that one sort of thought that you had that one day you decided to do all this shit. You know what I mean? And I just feel like so many people have the mentality that it's so far beyond them. You know what I mean? So I think like one of the best things is just, you know, having, getting people together on like more of on a ground level, you know what I mean? And kind of just doing stuff and then
seeing that it's possible.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, and then I don't know, the big dogs in the, you know,
the Great Danes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like I feel like the city's gonna do what the city's gonna do, you know? And you know, there's not really, you know, I don't know what we can do about that. I don't know how we can influence politicians that already clearly have, you know, have made their intentions clear at this point.
And at least for me, I feel like that's something I'm learning about and I'm trying to understand more. And it's like slowly entering this world of like, I don't know, who is it that is making decisions about what happens, and like, how do you talk to them? How do you share something that's reasonable? Because it's like my underlying belief, which is very optimistic and maybe naive, is that they are reasonable people. And it's like, you know, and I really do fundamentally believe that. And it's just like a difference in, you know, understanding a situation, or a difference in information about the information that makes people come to different conclusions about what to do. And it's like, cool, how do I talk to this person and communicate the information that I've discovered from these experiences, and, you know, share a way that makes sense to me that I hope they would understand. And
yeah, I know, I agree with that. You know, I think that I like to think about and see the best in people and think of possibilities and ways to communicate. But at the same time, it's like there's like a barrier there. There's like a whole way of thinking that's just not there. You know what I mean?
There's a huge separation. And connection.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people in that position kind of just write underprivileged people off. you know, and kind of sum it up to like, oh, they're just on drugs or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's a lot more nuanced and complicated than that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's like a difference in fundamental values. And that's a difficult thing to discuss, you know, when there's a clash of, you know, a core value. It's, you know, I don't think that it's realistic to change somebody's mind when they've set themselves so clearly on one sort of perspective. You know, I think it's a different sort of, it's a different agenda. I don't actually understand it because it's not how I see the world.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to empathize and understand and try to find a way to communicate with people with different ideologies than myself. But it's hard to not just argue because it's just like, how do you not give a shit? And it's like, dude, like, these are people, like, we're people, man. Like,
yeah. And you know, I do feel like it turns into this, like, I don't know. It turns into like the religion of sport in a way where it's just like, I'm committed to this idea regardless of the new information available to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to root for my team because like that's the flag I'm rocking.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, like blue team, let's fucking go. And it's like red team, let's fucking go. And it's like, you know, it's like, and something that's been happening like, with the tiny home projects that like, I'm trying to do in Toronto, and like I'm working with this guy Tony Storts, and he's working with multiple teams that are doing these tiny home projects. They're having these community consultations, and that's what that is. It's like sport teams yelling.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's no opportunity for like reasonable communication. It's just like, I'm gonna dress up as a syringe and show up. And like,
it's a giant syringe costume mascot.
That happened. That actually happened. And he was able to have a reasonable conversation with that person, which is like shocking.
Yeah.
But I do recognize that it's getting very hot in here. And I do want to wrap up this interview if you're interested.
That's all good, you know, whatever.
I did have one question to ask you.
Of course.
Which is, so the hope for this podcast is that many people, hopefully, will be seeing this. So it's like, with the thought that might potentially happen, like, what would you like to say to this audience about anything?
Oh, that's a... That's a good question. Honestly, just, you know, I feel like the people watching this podcast are like, you know, I feel like they give a shit. I hope so. Hope they'll give a shit. You know, I don't know why else you'd be watching this podcast if you don't care, but, you know, honestly, just keep, you know, keep spreading the love, you know, and awareness, and, you know, talk to your friends, you know, like find community, and I don't know, like just keep doing what you're doing, you know. I feel like there's a lot of great people that share the same sort of, you know, sentiment, you know. So thanks for watching, you know. That's pretty great. It's pretty cool to just see people giving a shit about stuff, you know. That's great. Keep doing that. Definitely recommend that. And you know, I don't know, just I guess try to fuck. It's a big question, man. You know, I'm trying to think of something crazy to say, but you know,
it doesn't have to be crazy. Preferably, it will be honest. In my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
it's all honest.
That's all you need to do. Yeah, and it's like, that's it. To me.
You know, just give a shit. You know, that goes such a huge way. You know, and just you know, I feel like there's a lot of people that are what am I trying to say here? Thoughts, things. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's kind of it, you know? Like, I I don't really have, all these answers to what can even be done on like a very like
large scale.
On a very large scale, but like, I mean, just, like being, being present and, like even if you just have people in your community or, people that that are in need help, you know what I mean? Like do what you can, like I know we're all struggling here. So it's, there's only so much you can do, but, I feel the more that we're aligned with the same values and the more that we can, form bonds with each other and, connections and build community, that's, I think where the real change happens. And, don't feel that you're too small as an individual to make an impact, even, on another individual. Like so many of the people that have helped me in major ways probably don't even know. And, that just comes from being caring and empathetic on a basic level. And there's so many people that would, I don't know, like this might sound kind of dark, but I was thinking about this the other day and, it was like, there's so many people that I know that if they didn't have people that cared about them and people that reached out, people that showed up, like, there's a lot of people, like including myself, like I probably would have killed myself if I didn't have people that cared about me and made an effort. And, I think, just care, help out when you can, and find ways to build community and, like big up the homies, and bring each other together and, spread love. I feel like that's the best thing because like, it sounds cheesy and whatever, but like makes a world of difference. And when that's your leading intention is to like help and care, that's all you can really do, like on a basic level. And I'm hoping that with that intention in mind, it'll plant a seed and great things can grow from that. That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, baby, thank you.
Yeah.
We have to have like a huge like.
It is getting hot in here though.
It is.
Feeling spicy.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us in this episode. That's baby.
Thanks for having me.
And see you later.
Yeah. Take it easy.